Hi guys! Today I thought I would do a requested video. Now I had somebody ask me about planning a Run Disney trip. So here's what she said. Hi, I love your videos and I've been following for a year. I wanted to make a YouTube request. Could you do a video on organizing a Run Disney trip? Best hotels to stay, how the transportation works, timing of buses, how guests get to ESPN, how to get to the Expo. I'm a runner, but I've never run Disney and this is on my bucket list. Okay, so the way the resorts and transportation works is there are specific host resorts for each race. Now some races, all of the Disney resorts might be host resorts, and some of the races you might just have certain resorts that are host resorts. So what a host resort is a resort that has Run Disney transportation. Now this is different than the regular park and resort transportation because you will have transportation to the Health and Fitness Expo where you need to go to pick up your race packet and your bib and stuff like that, and the start of the race and the finish. Now, for example, when I did the Wine and Dine Half Marathon, it was at night. I know this year it's at like 5:30 in the morning, but when I did it, it was at night. It started at 10 o'clock at night. So when we finished, it was after midnight. The regular park and resort transportation is no longer running at that time. So in order to get back to your resort, you either needed to be staying at a host resort and take the host resort transportation, or you'd have to have some other form of transportation, be it a taxi or your own car. Now, the reason I recommend staying at a host resort and not driving yourself is because, first of all, parking is very limited at these events. And second, when it is time for the actual race, a ton of roads are closed. So it's going to be a really big pain and take a long time for you to get to the start line or finish line or wherever because the roads are closed. So it really makes sense to take advantage of the host resort transportation. Now they're not, at least when I did it, it was not actual Disney buses. They were the Mears buses, which is the same company that does the Magical Express. And they'd had, I don't think they had, at that time they didn't have the scrolling marquee, I guess you could call it, at the top of the bus saying where it was going. It was, I think it was on a piece of paper in the bus window. It was very obvious. So there was a special bus stop outside the front of the resort that was for the Run Disney event. It was very clear, said it was for Run Disney going to the Health and Fitness Expo. So you go and wait there for the bus. I can't remember exactly how often the buses ran, but I don't remember waiting very long for it at all. When I went to the Health and Fitness Expo, I waited less than 5 minutes, I would say, and then when we went to the actual race, the bus was there, and we just got right on. So, yeah, the bus takes you then from the host resort to the Health and Fitness Expo. Now, sometimes I would say usually the Health and Fitness Expo is at the ESPN, Wide World of Sports Complex. I have heard of it at other resorts like Coronado Springs that has a convention center so that they can set up, the actual packet pickup and the official merchandise tent and all those kind of goodies. So it might be at either, it could be anywhere. But like I said, usually I think it's at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex. So you go from your host resort to the packet pickup and you get all your stuff. You have to make sure you have the proper ID. Read on the Run Disney website. I think it's just rundisney.com, but let me pull it up here. Yes, it's rundisney.com. So make sure you have everything that you need. You can click on events at the top and then click on the race that you will be running. And from that page, you can find the appropriate forms that you need to bring for the race. And there was one that I printed out ahead of time, like a waiver of some sort, and then I had to bring my ID, which I had to show when I picked up my packet. You cannot have somebody else pick up your packet for you. In terms of finding out what resorts are host resorts, I'm not sure how far in advance they determine that, but when I did it, I just found it from the Run Disney website under the event I was running. Otherwise, what I did just for the purpose of researching for this video, I just Googled it. Host resorts for the 2018 Disney World Marathon. And I was able to find from the Disney website, it was the Disney Moms panel, the answers for that. And like I said, sometimes it's every Disney resort and sometimes it is just certain resorts. So yeah, like I said, at the beginning or end of the race, depending on what time your race is, you may not have regular resort transportation. So you have to think about that in advance. And if you've just run 13.1 or 26.2 miles, that is not the time to try and figure out how to get back to your resort. If you're really, really tired, you want to have a plan in place ahead of time. In terms of the Health and Fitness Expo, most of them are at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex, as I previously mentioned. Regardless of where it is extremely obvious where you go for the actual expo when you get there. So the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex is enormous, but that day is pretty much solely dedicated to picking up the race packets for the Run Disney events. So there is plenty of staff there telling you where to go. And I had a question because I think I couldn't find the official merchandise tent, I think is what it was. And because it was not in the same building as the race packet pickup, and there was staff everywhere. So I just asked, and they said, oh, go over there. And it was very, very obvious. So there are a lot of people. You don't have to worry about where to go. They're clearly directing you. There was plenty of staff. That was not a problem at all as far as where do I actually go to get the packet itself. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to mention in that regard. Just make sure you know what resorts are the host resorts. I really, really strongly recommend staying at a host resort. Something I didn't mention is, I mentioned this in a previous video, but in the case of the Wine and Dine Half Marathon, for example, this year, it starts at 5:30 in the morning. It's not at night this year. So you have to be there a couple of hours before the start of the race. So you're going to have to be getting up before 3 in the morning. So that is another reason why you really want to stay at a host resort, because with the roads closed and with very limited parking, you don't want to have to get up even earlier to have to allow for those contingencies, I guess, if you're driving yourself. When we went, my sister and her husband came along, and they were spectators. So as part of being spectators, they got on the bus to the actual race with my husband and I, and we went to the start line, and we waited in that big open field like I mentioned previously together, and then they watched the start of the race, and then they got back on the bus, and it brought them to the finish line. And they said that even took a really long time with all of the roads that were closed. And then they were able to, but they didn't have to worry about the driving, but then they were able to wait at the finish line for us to finish, and then we met them there. So it actually worked out really, really well. And they do have gear check bags if you want to check something, give them your bag at the start line, and then they will transport it to the finish line for you to pick up. Since we had my sister and her husband, they had a backpack with our stuff in it, so we didn't take advantage of that. But that is a really nice option as well if you plan on changing shoes, at least I know is a really big thing. Get out of your running shoes when you're done racing. But yeah, make sure you leave plenty of time, either before or after, whatever is applicable, to relax and not plan on going to the parks right away. That was something we did. We tried to do a relaxed morning in the park when we did the Wine and Dine Half Marathon in the evening, and we still overdid it. I wouldn't do it go nearly as hard as we did next time. So the next race I'm running is in the morning, so hopefully having slept the night before will be enough. And then my plan is, I don't think I plan on visiting the parks at all that day. Then when we're done, probably just take a nap, hang out by the pool, maybe go to downtown Disney or that kind of thing. it's not a complicated process. I know it can be kind of overwhelming because there's a lot of information, but I recommend checking out the Run Disney website, sign up for their emails. That really helps as well. I got a ton of emails from them and I thought it was really great information. So sign up as soon as you can because the races have been known to sell out, and yeah, sign up for their emails. So I hope you guys found this helpful, and happy running. Bye guys.